Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about dividing fractions, and hopefully you've seen our dividing fractions rap that we made you with a little song to help you remember what to do. It goes like this: dividing fractions ain't no lie, just flip the second one and multiply. Okay, so to divide fractions, what are we going to do? We're going to flip the second one and then multiply. So let's practice that. So here's my example: 2 1/3, mixed number, divided by 2/5. So my first step here is I can't do anything with this mixed number. I need to change all the mixed numbers to improper fractions. Okay? So let's see. 3, and to change a mixed number to an improper fraction, you're going to multiply and add. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7, and I'm going to keep the same denominator. Okay, also if there were any whole numbers, we would want to change those to fractions first as well. That way we could then go through the dividing steps. So if there's any mixed numbers or whole numbers in your problem, go ahead and change them to either improper fractions or fractions. Okay, remember to change a whole number to a fraction, you just simply put a 1 underneath it. So like the whole number 4, to turn that to a fraction, you just put a 1 under it. Okay, this is how you change a mixed number to an improper fraction. You mama or Texas, you multiply, then add. Okay, so after we've done that, okay, we're going to keep the first fraction the same. So here's my first fraction, 2 1/3, we changed that to 7/3. Okay, we're going to keep it the same. The next thing we're going to do is change the division sign to a multiplication sign. So 7/3 still. Now instead of divided by, it's now times. Okay, and then last but not least, we're going to flip the second fraction. When I say flip the second fraction, I mean find the reciprocal. I don't know if you remember this word from your pretest. It was on the bottom too. For instance, if it gave you 5/3 on one of them, or 3/5 or something like that, and it wanted you to find the reciprocal, so all you do is you just flip these two numbers. 5/3 becomes 3/5. That's the reciprocal. Another one on there was 4, I think, and we know to change 4 into a fraction, we put a 1 under it, and then to find the reciprocal, I just flip them, so that becomes 1/4. So when I say flip the second fraction, if our second fraction was 2/5 and I want to find the reciprocal, let's flip it. That becomes 5/2. Okay, so 2/5, we flip it, it becomes 5/2. After we do that, we're going to multiply. So top times top, 7 times 5 is 35. Bottom times bottom, 3 times 2 is 6. I get 35 over 6. Well, I don't want to leave it as an improper fraction, so let's change it back to a mixed number. 35 divided by 6. 6 goes into 35 5 times. Minus 30 is 5. Used all my numbers under my house now, so I've got a whole number, numerator, denominator. So 35 over 6 is the same as 5 and 5 6. Now you can go back and check this to make sure you did it right by doing the reverse, changing this mixed number back into an improper fraction. Okay, remember, multiply, add. So 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 plus 5 is 35. 35 over 6, that's what I originally had, so I know I did it correctly. Okay, so that's how you divide fractions. You may hear people say keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction the same. Change the division sign to multiplication and flip the second fraction. Or like in our rap says, you just flip the second one and multiply. So I flipped the second number, I found the reciprocal, I flipped it, and then I multiplied. Alright, so that's how you divide fractions. Before we go any farther, I want to teach you this little trick called cross-reducing. Okay, this cross reducing. And this may work for some people. It may make sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, please don't get hung up on it. Just disregard it and go back to the way that we are dividing fractions up here. But some of you, this may make a lot of sense too. So in cross reducing, that allows us to simplify both fractions before I multiply them together. If I simplify the fractions before I multiply them together, then I don't have to simplify in the end. Okay, so the way you do that is you look at these cross pairs, cross reducing, okay? You look at the cross numbers. I'm going to look at this like it was a fraction, 1 over 9, okay? Can I simplify this at all? Is there a number I can divide both of 1 and 9 by? No. What about 4 and 8? Ooh, yeah, I can divide both of those by 4. So 4 divided by 4 becomes 1, and 8 divided by 4 becomes 2. Okay, so now this 8 is a 2, and this 4 is a 1. So I'm going to rewrite 1 over 9 times 1 over 2. Okay, now top times top, bottom times bottom. My fraction is already in simplest form. Okay, my fraction's already in simplest form. Now remember, this only works when you're multiplying. If you start out with a division problem, remember you have to flip the second one and multiply. Okay, so you got to get it into a multiplication problem before you can cross reduce. So let's go over here in your journal somewhere. I want you to do these practice problems with me. Okay, we're going to divide fractions, and I'm going to do about 2 or 3 examples of that, and then I'll do 2 or 3 examples of cross reducing. Okay, so remember, fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, so dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply. Okay, or you may hear us say, keep, change, flip. You're going to watch a vocabulary video where they use this, keep, change, flip. Okay, so if I gave you the fraction 4/5 divided by 1/3. Okay, 4/5 divided by 1/3. This is our first example. So we're going to write that in our journal somewhere, and you're going to work this out with me. Okay, so remember, keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. Or dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply. So we are going to flip the second one, 1 over 3. We're going to flip it. That's 3 over 1, and then we're going to multiply. Okay, dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply. Okay, now 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, I have 12/5. I can't simplify this right now. Okay, there's nothing that'll go into both of those, so let's go ahead and change it back to a mixed number. 12 divided by 5. 5 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. Leaves me with a remainder of 2. So 2 and 2/5 is our new mixed number. 2 and 2/5. And on all your homeworks, guys, we're going to ask you to change improper fractions back to mixed numbers. So you need to know how to do this. Okay? And if you need help and practice with this, please, please, please come ask your teacher. Okay, let's double check to make sure we did this the right way by doing our mama. 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 plus 2 is 12, so that would be 12 over 5. That's what I originally had here, so I did this correctly. Okay, let's go to our second example problem. So here's example problem 1. Example problem 2. I've got 3 divided by 1/6. Well, first things first, this is not a fraction. I have to change my whole numbers to fractions. So to do that, let's just put a 1 under it. Okay, dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply. Okay, so I flip the second one. 1 over 6 becomes 6 over 1. And then I multiply. Top times top and bottom times bottom. So that becomes 18 over 1. Well, I know to write a whole number as a fraction. I just put a 1 under it. So 18 over 1 is really the whole number, 18. Okay? And if you were to do your dividing, 1 goes into 1 one time. 1 goes into 18, or I'm sorry, 8 times. So 18 and 0 over 1, well, that's the same thing as just 18. All right, so 18 divided by 1 is 18. Okay, let's do your third example. Let's do 4/5 divided by 2 1/3. Well, I cannot have a mixed number. I have to change this to a fraction. So how do we change 2 1/3 into an improper fraction? Mama, multiply, add, or Texas, okay? So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So this is now 7/3. So I have 4/5 divided by 7/3. Now I can do my dividing fractions. Okay, dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one, 7 over 3, and multiply. Okay, so dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply. Now top times top, 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 7 is 35. Let's look at this. Do we think we can simplify this at all before we circle it as our answer? Nope, I can't simplify that anymore. Okay, so this is going to be my final answer, 12 over 35. Okay, so now I'm going to do 2 example problems with cross-reducing. So if the cross-reducing didn't make sense to you, you can try and figure it out right now. Or you can just stop the video and go and start your homework. Okay, so pre-AP, I want to make sure that you watch this because this is something that will be very useful to you. So let's start right now. So if I have 1/4 divided by 8/10, okay, well, in order to get to a cross-reducing place, I need to get this to a multiplication problem. So dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply. Now that I have a multiplication problem, I can use my cross-reducing. 1 and 8, I can't simplify those anymore. But 4 and 10, I can divide 4 divided by 2 and 10 divided by 2. Okay, 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Can I simplify 2 and 5 anymore? No. So now I'm going to do top times top. 1 times 5 is 5. And bottom times bottom. 2 times 8 is 16. I can't simplify 5 over 16. It should already be in simplest form. So my answer there would be 5/16. Okay. So let's do another cross-reducing, and I'm going to just originally have this one a multiplication problem because if you're handed a multiplication problem first, you can just cross-reduce from there. Okay, so I'm going to have 4 over 32 times 8 over 16. Okay, so let's look here first. 4 and 16, is there a number I can divide both of these by? Yes, I can divide them both by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. I can't reduce those anymore. Okay, so now let's go to our other cross pair, 8 and 32. Is there a number I can divide both of those by? You bet. 8. You know what? Let's start with 4. Say you saw 4. I can start with 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. But I'm going to look at that. Can I simplify that more? Yes, I can divide both of those by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So now I have 1/4 times 1/4, top times top, bottom times bottom. 1/16 is our, 1/16 is our simplified fraction. Okay, so that's cross-reducing. If you have more questions about this, you can ask your teacher in class also, and we'll try and show you some more examples and walk you through it. But know that you do not have to use this method. It's just a little quick cheat method, if you want to call it that, for multiplying fractions. Just cross-reducing first, so your answer is already simplified. All right, that's how you divide fractions. Remember, dividing fractions ain't no lie. Just flip the second one and multiply.